Well, hello, hello, hello. Welcome to yet another Once More with Abby and Claire. And again, my favoritist of all the bacon. No, don't tell Rich. No. So my darling co-host, Claire Bacon, who I love more than words. And how
Oh,
are you
me
today, my
too.
love?
I'm very well.
You
How
look
are you?
I'm good, thanks. You look beautiful as always.
Oh,
I
thank
love
you.
to
It's
see your
very hot
face.
here.
It's very hot here too. I was worried when my Wi-Fi wouldn't kick in that I'd have to go sit outside, and I'm like, I don't think I'll make it. But we are Florida, and we're used to that. But you guys, it's a
Yeah.
little unusual for you.
Yeah, it's
So,
unusual. We're not used to it and we don't have aircon.
yeah. Oh no, you poor
No, the whole
baby.
country really, apart of if you're in if you're in a shopping mall or a leisure centre or something like that, you have aircon. But in homes we don't have aircon. It's not a thing. So now you understand why we're
Right?
really hot.
Can you? That's so weird. Can you hear me okay? You were breaking up a little bit, and I'm sure it's
Yeah,
on
I
my
can hear
end
you.
because I have the Wi-Fi. Okay. All right. Well, hi everybody. I apologize in advance if I have Wi-Fi trouble. It seems that with the weird storms we've been having, I keep losing my signal. So anyway, this week we are discussing two episodes. The first one being Some Assembly Required. Excuse me one moment. So, this always seems to happen that when I start the podcast, my cat goes in my mother's room and harasses my mother's cat. And then Molly gets
Naughty
very
children
upset
time.
and starts hyperventilating, and George just is an ass. So anyway, hi. So we're going to start this week with Some Assembly Required, which is just a little fun monster of the week
Yeah.
episode. Not my favorite, not my worst by any means.
No.
But I think we start off with Angel and Buffy basically arguing over whether or not
Yeah.
Angel was jealous over
Yeah, we've got a little
Xander and their
jealous
little date.
situation
And
between Xander and Angel going on. It's very having a little fight
yeah,
over it.
I have a tape measure if anyone's interested. But yeah, so they're arguing over whether or not that he is jealous. He says no, she says yes. And they are attacked by a vampire, which, is no problem. And then they continue on their arguing, and Buffy falls into an open grave.
Yes.
And that's not something you see every day. Usually when the vampires come out, they have to bust their way through and dig out. This was a freshly dug up, completely open
Yes.
grave. And upon researching, Angel says something like, oh, another vampire. And she looks around and she's like, no, she's like, this one didn't rise. This one was dug up. Like
Dug
you
up,
could tell
yeah.
by the
And there were
drag
double
marks.
footprints leading away.
Yep. And the body was dragged. So obviously we go to the library to meet up with the gang. And I think it's kind of adorable that Giles is asking advice from Willow and Xander of all people on how to
Yes.
court a modern girl like Ms. Calendar, Jenny Calendar.
Yeah, it's rehearsing. It's really sweet. It's quite cute, isn't it?
I mean, Buffy's pretty good with the advice, and I believe her advice is something like, you have a thing and I have a thing.
Have a thing, and then there's a
What do you think
Mexican
about
thing,
Mexican?
and which
What
is
do you think
great.
about Mexican? The people? No, the food.
Hang on.
Man.
Oh, we've got Clint. Hello, Angel was
Hi,
totally
Clint.
jealous. Yeah, he was totally jealous.
He was
Absolutely.
over a kid. And of course, that's where he just put his foot right in his mouth because he's like, jealous of Xander. Xander's just a kid. And she's like, well, if Xander's just a kid, aren't I just a kid?
Yeah.
You're putting words in my mouth. And then, we fall in holes. So, which happens to me more often than you would think.
Yeah.
So, we are now in research mode. Giles needs to research what would be, digging up girls' bodies and what would serve that. He had a couple really good ideas. I thought I wrote them down. There was either flesh-eating demon or voodoo priest creating zombies for like,
Zombies, yeah, that was pretty good.
Which I enjoy. So I think when they were trying to figure out, they're like, one body says demon, more body says zombie horde. So I think we have to keep that in mind. So we go to, what is it? The Bronze, I guess. Oh no. Where did we meet
It's
with
Cordelia in the parking lot who bumps into Angel. And
yes,
they're already
Cordelia
out
is
sort of doing their research, aren't they, at that point?
So basically, Cordelia's out alone in the parking lot, and she notices somebody following her. And, you know, this is Sunnydale. So she starts to panic and run. Of course, she drops the keys. Of course, you know, they slide under the car. And the whole time I'm like, Jesus, you know, that's what the buttons are good for these days. We forget how easy we have it when you don't have to unlock a door. So anyway, turns out person following her is Angel, because he wants to know where Buffy is and is she okay? Because, you know, but before this happens, she runs and hides in a dumpster.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you do what you
That's
can.
what you
do.
do.
Around the corner from the school. Yeah. And in said dumpster, there are many parts, body parts.
Many body parts. I think she comes up with a hand in her hand, doesn't she?
Yeah, she's like, what? My skirt's caught. What? So they go back. They have determined at this point that there are not enough body parts for 3 full girls. They determined, looking through the cemetery. So I should go back. In research mode, we determined there was a car accident the week before. 3 girls from the high school were killed. Those are the 3 girls that were dug up. And when they started putting the parts together that Cordelia found, they did not equate to 3 whole girls.
No, there was like a body's worth missing.
Right. So whoever dug these girls up has been keeping some of the parts, as one does. I mean, you know.
As one does.
So, as one does. So once they determine this is neither zombie horde or voodoo priest or demon, based on the fact that there are certain body parts missing, and I'm not really sure how they come up with the fact, but they figure out it's someone from the school because the dumpster's right next to the school. And they correctly suspect that, like, the science kid, like super science kid, Chris Epps, he played by Angelo Spazzeri.
I've got a thing before we go on to that. A little quick thing that I found.
Yeah.
Do you remember a few weeks ago we spoke about there was an episode with Willow that we couldn't place that a friend had told you about, where it kind of prophesizes with the skin off thing. Now, I noticed something the other week and didn't document it, but what I did notice is when they're doing the Scooby re-thing of how they're deciding who it could be, there's that moment, yet again, and I've seen this even in the first season, where, well, who could have done this? Who has the scientific knowledge? And Willow says, well, I could think of at least 5 people, including me. And again, we have those little references, and they keep coming up. And I feel, we all know Josh likes to lace it, but I do feel there's a pattern, and I keep seeing it. I didn't document last week's, and I meant to. I'll go back and look and try and put it in comments. But definitely there's a theme of Willow could have done this.
He's just foreshadowing how powerful she can be. You know, she's got such a
and we're not spoiling
brain without
but character development.
I love it. She is one of my very favorites. She's come to me the farthest out of anybody, but we might be jumping the gun. But that was great. Thank you for that, Joe Cottogio. That's for you. I'm hoping he's watching. I'm not sure if he's working or not, but I did tell him he's got to come on the show one of these days because
definitely.
They have a couple friends that I know of that are just so hardcore, you know, my hardcore Buffy fan since day one, and I love it.
That'd be amazing. So sorry to put you off, back to where we were.
Oh no, never apologize. Angelo Spazzari is the actor. Chris Epps, he basically has been a recluse since his older brother, who was like the king football player guy. He's the guy that does the throwing and the catching. Daryl. So Daryl died accidentally. I think he fell off a mountain, rock climbing or something.
A mountaineering accident was what was stated.
Yes. Because as one does. And so Chris and the weird photography kid, Eric Gittleson, played by Michael Bacall. And he's that kid that's constantly in all the lovely ladies' faces, snapping pictures of them and being weird. And we then come to find out that they do not have a head. They have enough for a full body. They do not have a head, that each of the three heads were damaged or too old. And that's when they determined that someone might be trying to bring a body back to life and that the head would be dead too long. And
I think it was something about to preserve it in formaldehyde, stopped it being usable for how long the rest of the body stored. Oh,
exactly.
Something like that.
And so we then come to see that they've already managed to bring back, Chris has already managed to bring back Daryl.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't know if I lost you. Okay, can you hear me?
No, I'm sorry. I can hear you.
Today is just okay, excellent. I'm going to keep going and hope it works.
Keep going. I can hear you.
So again, we find out that Daryl has been, I guess, Frankenstein-ish. I don't know. They've
definitely
somehow
brought Frankenstein vibe.
Yeah, they brought him back. He is scarred, and I mean, he looks like Frankenstein's monster. And we come to find out that Chris promised Daryl to always take care of him and promised Daryl that he would not be alone. So he's trying to make a mate for his brother, which is not creepy at all.
No, not creepy at all.
And in doing so, we see that weird photographer kid, Eric, has taken pictures of the lovely ladies, Buffy, Willow, and Cordelia, and placed them on a table, for which Daryl definitely chooses Cordelia because they had sort of a thing back in the day. And Cordy is acting like, you know, he was the greatest guy in the whole world. And we find out from Daryl that he basically blew Cordelia off, which is why I think she wanted him more than anything, because he said, I never paid attention to you and I never gave you the time of day. But he decides Cordelia is the woman for him. So they then kidnap Cordelia, as you know, happens. And we mentioned that Cordelia was hardcore flirting with Angel, didn't we?
Yeah, I don't think we brought that up, but obviously at that earlier point, she does this quite a lot. I feel Cordelia's development as well, in that status of being hung on Angel when everyone arrives, treating him like the hero. Yeah, that little bit of tension that's always been between.
I think Cordelia is one of those women that needs admiration to feel whole and good about herself. And I think that's one of the great character traits or development in the future for her, is that she actually learned to be happy for her and not for a man. So that's actually really big for her later. But at this point, we're not there. So they're at the big game. Giles, well, actually, Jenny Calendar asked Giles that. He tried very desperately to ask her out,
but she reversed it. It worked.
It worked. She said something when he calls her Ms. Calendar, and she says, "Oh no, please call me Jenny. Ms. Calendar was my father." And I was like, it's just such a throwaway line, but it made me laugh really hard. So they decide that they'll go to the big game together because she loves the sports and this and that. So they think Cordelia's made it out on the field. Chris and Eric try to kidnap her. Buffy intervenes, finds, kicks their butt. Cordelia runs out on the field, comes out, I guess at halftime to get a drink under the bleachers, and gets kidnapped by Daryl. So she wakes up tied up again. Poor Cordelia is tied up a lot for somebody that is not into that sort of thing. And
True.
they do decide to take Cordelia's head, in which time, although I do love, so Willow giving advice to Buffy about Angel, and, you know, like, oh, do you think he's going to come? I don't know. He said he might come, and he didn't show up. And my favorite line that my girlfriend Corey and I have been saying to each other since this episode first aired is, love makes you do the wacky. And that's my favorite.
That's a great line out of this. Definitely is.
But so basically, then it kind of has a big old ending with Buffy busting in, saving the day. Cordelia seeing Daryl apologizing for not being there with Cordelia when they were alive, but now she'll be so happy to just be his and only his. And needless to say, Buffy wins, as usual.
Yeah, saves the day, as usual. Big fight scene. He ends up getting set on fire, does for Daryl, trying to save the body of his Frankenstein's bride.
Yeah. That was
there was a line I did like in this as well further on when they're at the big game. There's a very English line that Giles says about he doesn't understand why they need all that padding and all that weight
just
on
to
top
play
when
rugby.
Movie players do it on their own. I kind of don't want to agree. I love you, America, but you know,
I love you, America.
Rugby players are gnarly. You know, these guys.
I know.
It's completely different. They have no protection.
I know. I've seen it. It's amazing. I do. Have you ever watched the TV show, completely off topic? Have you ever watched Ted Lasso, which is a fantastic TV show? Okay, it's on Apple Plus. If you have a chance, like if you can get it from the library or whatever, you need to watch this show.
Oh,
but it's about an English guy that comes to coach for an American guy that comes to England to coach the soccer team, the football team, because he's a football coach in America. And it's a whole big thing. It's about a husband and wife getting divorced. But the husband who's divorcing the wife that owned the football team is Anthony Head.
Oh, and wow. No, I haven't seen it. I'll have to have a look.
His first name is Rupert. But he's not my Rupee. He's just such a dick. But anyway, yeah, so I just love that he's typecast as Rupert.
Oh, let's have a look at that.
You play two roles that I know of. I mean, I know he's done more than that. But anyway, back on topic. So tell me your thoughts on this episode.
Again, as you said, it's Monster of the Week, but we love that. We don't hate it. It's not our favourite, but we love it. But again, there were some great one-liners I found in the entire thing. I find very establishing for Cordelia yet again. And relationships, you know, this one again was very establishing for how it all goes, and the journey calendar thing, and you know, Giles is absolutely adorable. So adorable.
Gag when it comes to stuff like that, but they just make it.
Yeah,
so
but it kind of works. It's so bad it's good. You know, it's great. No, I really enjoyed it. The only music we had this week, in fact, that I found. Was we obviously had My Girl, which was sung originally by the Temptations, but obviously the guy who played Eric, Michael Bacall, was the one who sung it obviously over while he was looking down at their Frankenstein style bride they were making. I also found a thing about him that says he was heavily involved. I don't know if he was in or writing for, because he's actually a director and a writer now as well as an actor.
Really?
Was Death Proof.
I did not know that.
No, I didn't. I need to research more. I feel quite dumb because I feel I couldn't find if he was in it or he had to do with writing and directing. It was a quick 2-minute thing I found just before I come on, but definitely it was something huge in Death Proof.
I love it.
Which is pretty cool. But yeah, he was the guy that sung obviously My Girl by the Temptations originally while he was dissecting and sewing back together, obviously. Which was a pretty cool thing. And that was the only music we had this week.
I do love a good Frankenstein story. I think
I do.
It's just, I don't know, it's one of those classics and we don't even have to get into that. And I have a group chat that's coming through my phone every 12 seconds. It's making me nuts. I should have muted it before we went on. I just have to not look at it. So anyway, all right. Well, I guess that wraps up this episode, Some Assembly Required. Just a good, fun little monster of the week. The next episode, actually, I love. It's called
I love this too.
School Hard. Not only do I love it because it introduces two of our favorite characters, but basically it opens with Principal Snyder putting the worst students, Buffy and Sheila Martini.
Sheila?
Oh, I don't know if you lost me or not, my Wi-Fi.
No, we're still here.
He's decided. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, you can hear me? Okay. So basically, Snyder puts the worst students in school, Buffy and Sheila Martini, in charge of parents' night preparations as their last chance to avoid expulsion. That if it does not go well,
this is it, their last deal.
Out. And Sheila does not seem to care one bit. She is definitely like rebel girl. She wants nothing to do with it. Buffy is genuinely concerned, and Sheila's like, they're like, well, one of you stabbed a teacher, and she's like, what? He got him. And then, you know, and Buffy's like, what? And then she's like, and he's like, one of you burned down your school, and she's like, it was. He's like, nope. So this is what you have to do. You have to do parent-teacher conferences. Your parents better be there. I better speak to them or expulsion. So Buffy is now working brain overtime. Xander says something about the fact of, you know, well, everything will go smoothly. Don't worry. Like basically throw in the big old jinx on things. And as everyone knows, you just jinx it right out. You got to go Jewish religion. We go, kinahara is something we do. And if you jinx it, you got to just, but that's random. So anyway, and then we come to everything's, you know, he says everything's going to be okay. And they're like, Sandra, that's a big jinx. And the next scene is a car running over the Welcome to Sunnydale sign.
Hence Spike why I used it for the trailer, obviously.
Home sweet home. Which everyone knows we love Spike. We love Spike. Oh. And even more so, we get to meet Drusilla.
Who is heavenly,
Drusilla,
as always.
So, heavenly. So they go to meet the local vampires. They've heard about the anointed one, or as Spike later calls him, the annoying one. But they go to meet the local vampires. He is making a point. Drusilla walks in all of her Drusilla-ness. If you are all not familiar with Drusilla, Juliet Landau, amazing.
Ugh.
You need to watch her episode. She's just, we learn very quickly that she has the vision. She can just sense things off people. We also know she's crazy as a lunar, like right off the bat.
Absolutely batshit crazy.
Batshit crazy. But Spike has told Colin, the anointed one, I'm going to take care of your Slayer for you. Like, this is ridiculous. Yep. And me and Drew were moving in. And they've decided to make their home in Sunnydale. So Spike is going to kill the Slayer. Let's see, dark and evil. Buffy gets warned by Giles and Miss Calendar that coming Saturday is Indigenous Night, which is like Vampire Prime Day, where they're uber powerful. And we've got parent-teacher conferences on Friday. We've got St. Vigius on Saturday. Buffy doesn't know what to do about boys. She's going to get expelled. She's got to tell her mom about parent-teacher conferences, which she sort of forgot to tell her for the last couple of weeks. Luckily, Joyce finds out on her own and gets a message, so she won't forget. She's so stressed. So, of course, she's going to go join the gang at the Bronze because that's what you do.
Under the guise of doing
Willow
French
and Xander say, look, we can, we're going to study at the Bronze. So multitasking and dancing. And while they're up dancing, Spike walks into the Bronze. And he's watching her. And then he tells one of his vampy buddies, go outside, get something to eat. Guy goes outside, gets something to eat, and Spike goes with an earshot of Buffy and is like, gotta call the cops. There's some guy up there trying to bite someone. And Slayers do as Slayers do. She takes off to go save the girl. She fights the vampire, says, oh, wouldn't it be great if I had a steak? Xander goes in, finds her a steak. I think it's hysterical. He's going through her pocketbook, finds a tampon, is like terrified of it.
It's no problem. On the steak. Like, vampire. Yeah, it's great.
Throws the steak to Buffy. Buffy stakes the vampire, and Spike watches all of this. And basically wanted to check out her style. So then he introduces himself, basically promises to kill her on Saturday. Or that, wait till Saturday. And she's like, what happens on Saturday? He's like, I'm going to kill you. No ifs, ands, or buts. Pretty straightforward. Later, I don't know if it's later that night or the next night. I'm really bad with timing. I think it's that later that night. We see Sheila drunkenly walking with two young men in an alley. And then she's slurring and she's like, hey, where'd you go? And the two guys are nowhere to be found. But Spike is there. And we see him tell her, oh, they went for a walk. I took care of them. You deserve better than this. Come with me. All good things this way. And so she goes
and
off
she
with
falls
Spike
for it. And who wouldn't?
And who wouldn't? So cut to, I love any scene with Drusilla when she's just being freaking weird. And so she's with her dolly.
Weird and odd and crazy. It's the best moment.
Speaks out of turn. She's a bad example and will have no cakes today.
Like, she's just so weird, and I love her.
She's great.
Spike comes in, tells her, you need to eat something. We find out that Drusilla almost died by mob in Prague. So we have a little bit of a backstory to know why she seems so weak. And we look to the corner, and Spike has tied up good old Sheila as a nice little meal for Drusilla. So a lot of back and forth with Spike and Drusilla. That's just chef's kiss.
Yeah, the dialogue between them with her is always beautiful.
But she does like a good girl does, and she feeds. So fast forward parent-teacher conferences. Buffy is just desperately trying to keep Snyder and Joyce from running into each other, has Willow working interference, taking her to every other every other teacher in the school. Yet every time they miraculously show up, that teacher has left the room, but somehow she's seen the whole school, except for the boiler room, because the boiler is actually in the room. That's very important. So at this point, Snyder's having no more. He runs up to her, sees them talking, and Joyce is like, I'm Joyce Summers, Buffy's mom, blah, blah, blah. And he is so cold and so nasty to her right off the bat. And he's like, we need to talk. My office is this way. And Buffy looks like she's going to die. And Cordelia, she's such a bitch. I mean, even though the smile on her face as this is going down, she loved every second of it. By the time Joyce comes back, she says, get in the car. Basically you're grounded for life and we need to talk. And before they can get out, Snyder's closing up with this big old grin on his face because he knows he's ruined a poor girl's life, and a vampire busts through the window. Yeah. And I guess Spike got tired of waiting, and now they are full on siege. Attacking. Buffy takes total control, locks Joyce, Snyder, and 4 other, whether they're parents or teachers, I think the parents, in a room. Giles and Ms. Calendar are in the library with Xander. Willow and Cordelia take off that way. So Buffy is with her mom, says, I need to take care of this. Joyce is freaking out. No. Buffy tells them, under no circumstances do you leave this room. They're trying to get out windows. Do not leave this room. You are not safe. I will be back from you. Do not open the door until I tell you. She goes up through the ceiling and is walking, as one does. And actually, Spike, one of the vampires, points out that he's just about to open the door with Cordelia and Willow. And one vampire goes, listen. And then, You hear the cheese in the ceiling. And so they are doing the whole, but Buffy gets through the ceiling into the library to find that Giles has sent Xander out through the stacks in the back to go get Angel. Since he's a vampire, he must know. He knows who Spike is because prior to them, he says, you should run away. You should just get out of town. He's tough.
Yeah, you should just leave.
In the time, they do find out that Spike is only 200 years old, whereas Angel is a lot older than that.
Yes.
And it's not known yet, but it will be known in a couple minutes that Angel sired Spike. And if you know, that means he turned him. So, but they're wondering why. And Angel had walked out of the library before telling them why he was so dangerous. Is he known by any other name? During Giles's research about him, we find out
he finds William the Bloody.
William the Bloody, and he earned his nickname Spike by torturing people with train spikes. So, Angel shows up. Buffy is in with Giles, and Miss Calendar starts fighting her way out to kill the couple vampires in the hallway so she can clear the space for Giles to go get her mom and the other people out of the library, or out of the room across the hall in the science lab. In the hallway, she runs into what's her name? Sheila. I'm sorry, blank on her name. She runs into Sheila, and Buffy's like, oh, thank God, Sheila's got an axe. Okay, follow me. We're going to go get them. Buffy's walking with their stake. Sheila's behind her with an axe. Buffy doesn't turn around to see that Sheila has, in fact, changed into a vampire. At the last second, Giles warns her through the window of the library. Yeah. She fights off Sheila. She knocks her down. And then she gets her mom and everybody out.
At this point, we've got because Xander's been sent out through the back of the stacks in the library to go and find Angel and get him to help. And they've decided it's a really good idea.
Yeah.
To pretend that Angel's going to eat Xander and he's still evil.
He meets up with Spike. He plays off the whole, I brought a snack and blah, blah, blah. And Spike's like, Angel, oh, you look so good. You know,
you look so good.
Yeah. And then Spike punches Angel in the face and is like, dude, I know you're fucking with me. Like, I know this is bullshit. And I can't believe you tried to get one over on me. Like, and that's where he says, you know, you're my sire. Like, you made me.
Yes.
Calls him an Uncle Tom, which I think is pretty funny. Also, forgot to mention that Snyder
was Yoda reference also, which is pretty funny.
Does not listen to Buffy. They try to get out the window. Joyce is all about, Buffy said we're not supposed to do this. And Snyder's like, she's just a student. She doesn't know shit. I'm in charge. So he helps this parent or teacher, I wasn't sure who it was. At the window, he then promptly gets yanked out and eaten by a vampire.
You were the eating sounds, the chomping.
While Snyder's just sitting there like, and Joyce pushes in and closes the window and says, and basically then tells Snyder off because he's like, oh, I see a true, I see your daughter's a lot like you. Like, just Snide remarks. He was being a total Snyder.
It's just Snyder, but shout out to him, you know. He is amazing.
He is amazing. So now Buffy squares off with Spike, and Spike's like, hey, you know, personal favor to you. I'm going to make this quick. Won't hurt a bit. And she's like, no, Spike, it's going to hurt a lot. We do find out, I think I might have mentioned it before, that Spike has previously killed 2 Slayers. And the last
we get hints to things we'll see later.
Yes,
Boxer Rebellion is mentioned, and the other one isn't mentioned, but we know that is, I'll just say a name of Nikki Wood, but we won't find that out till a lot later, so no spoilers.
A lot later. Yes, which is a whole other arc that I enjoy very much. So, yes, Buffy and and Spike have a kick-ass fight. Like it's a great fight. He knocks her down.
I find their fights in a lot of this are some of the most violent.
Yes, brutal fights. Next thing you know, Joyce, get the hell away from my daughter, slaps him in the head with the axe and knocks him to the ground.
Kind of line that, isn't it? You know,
get away from her, you bitch. Yeah, it's like badass.
Might as well be.
And I loved it. They go outside. Joyce and Buffy go outside. Spike, I guess, runs off, and they have this beautiful bonding moment where she's like, Buffy's like, I know I'm in trouble, and I blah blah blah, and she said, look, Buffy's like, what did my teacher say about me? And you know, prone to fighting and this and that. She's like, but I don't care about that. She's like, I have a daughter that can take care of herself, that cares about other people, that takes charge in a situation. They had this beautiful bonding moment. She's like, I applaud you. And Buffy's like, wow, how long do you think this is going to last? She goes, I don't know, like a week and a half. So she knows that it's going to go back to being, but we then see
as always, those moments between Joyce and Buffy are great. You know, there's some beautiful moments through the entire thing.
Yeah. I mean, I think back when it first aired, because of my age, I didn't appreciate Joyce as much as I do at my age now.
Yes.
Spike is crying, Drusilla's fixing him because she hurt him. And, you know, he's like a slayer with family and friends. That wasn't in the brochure.
Yeah, exactly.
So they go to the annoying one, the anointed one, and mea culpa, Spike, hands and knees. Hey, dude, I messed up, but I'll make it right.
Yeah, you think he's going to do this big thing. You think he's going to return for it. And
the vampire next to the anointed one is like, oh, you should pay with your life and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yeah, you're dead. One of my favorite scenes, because he basically grabs the kid, little Colin, the anointed one,
puts him in the cage,
and just starts winging the cage up into the sun coming in from the light in the window. And just, he's like, we're going to have fun. And he just dusts him. He just sends him up into the sun and just
fries him.
Spike's in charge. And Spike's like, guess what? We live here now. So it's a fun episode. I love Drusilla. I love all of them. I noticed Spike's scar is very prominent in this first episode. I think they tone it down.
I noticed that myself, actually. Yeah, it's very white in there, isn't it, in the first one? But what I did like was the line at the end. Let's see what's on TV, as they walk away after the fried the annoying one, and walked away. And they're like, let's see what's on TV. It's like the whole way is brought into this episode. The whole introduction to both of them is beautiful. It's great.
They come in like a bull in a china shop, as we say.
It brings something so new to the storyline. Excuse me.
I am, like I said, I'm definitely a Drusilla fan. I would legit, and one day I will. I think I want to write down every line of dialogue she's ever had, just because I want to be her for Halloween, and I want to just be in full Drusilla. Like, I adore her character.
Before we had
even when she's
things
whiny,
where people took pictures, I did do it once a long time ago. But
of course,
it was before, you know, we all took pictures of things in the normal
actual photographs with film,
actual photographs, and there wasn't one.
I remember it well.
I don't remember ever seeing one.
And then tell me about, I know we had a live performance in.
We did. We had music from this week from the Bronze. Was 1,000 Nights by Nickel, sorry. 1,000 Nights by Nickel, which was where they were sat studying and Xander was dancing around trying to get them to dance. And then when he finally got them up, it was Stupid Thing by Nickel. Well, sort of Spike watched them all and was kind of surveying her with her friends and checking out what was going on. So yeah, that's 1,000 Nights by Nickel and Stupid Thing by the band Nickel. And they're available on all
Nickel
music.
Was the
and I will
band?
Put the links
sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to.
No, you're all right. I'll put the links in.
Yes, because you're amazing. I guess Nickel was the band of the week. I think that was just, which I love. I love that they're highlighting, you know, we say the same thing with the Chiba Mata, like they just had every song from them in there. And I think we'll get more music coming into the later episodes when we introduce.
We definitely do. And I know for myself, there's a few bands that I now listen to because of that and still do. And a few songs that literally are on my playlists, not even on my Buffy playlists.
Just on your regular
we have those things. But yeah, not even on my Buffy playlist. I've got songs from Buffy in later seasons that I literally listen to all the time.
I love it. Well, all right. Do we have anything else to add about these episodes, my love?
That's about it this week. As I say, we've done the music. Great introduction in this last episode we just did, as I say, for Spike and Drusilla. Perfect. Looking forward to moving on. Next week, are we 2 or 3 next week?
I can't remember. Next week, we're going to complete 3 episodes next week. So we are going to do, we're in season 2, episode 4, Inca Mummy Girl, episode 5, Reptile Boy, and episode 6, Halloween, which any Halloween episode you have to know is my very favorite thing.
Which is
I am not sure of the time for next week because I believe
we are. Sorry, you were in a meeting yesterday. Excuse viewers. Backstory, should have done this earlier. We are doing, if it all works out, we are doing 8 o'clock and 3 o'clock U. So we'll be 3 p.m. USA and we will be 8 p.m. UK. And we are joined by the wonderful Adam Backus next week.
I can't wait. He's going to make me pay. I told him he's going to have to do the musical episode with us in a few seasons.
Oh, that'd be great.
But
I feel we should maybe try and get a few for the musical episode. We should maybe try and get a few for the musical episode.
Well,
Rich
Ryan
says
will
he's
definitely be there for that.
Ryan,
my brother from another mother,
do it.
Is a huge musical fan.
Excellent.
Adam hates them with the Fire of 1,000 Suns, and of course, I made him watch.
I saw that you'd been watching the great
Dr. Horrible, my favorite.
I
love it. And Ryan and I are literally sending clips to each other, singing back and forth, and Adam's dying a little bit inside every minute. But
he's going to have to bear it.
Hopefully he will enjoy Buffy next week with us. So again, yes, next week we're going to cover 3 episodes. That's at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 p.m. UK time. Next Thursday. I'm very excited about this. So with that, I guess we will bid you good day. I love you, my love.
Bye, guys.
Bye.